Monkeys never claps.
Tomlinson's going to need a visa to catch this one.
You've gotta love sports.
You trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
And welcome everyone to another episode of the Breakfast Bets podcast here on Steady Picks. I'm Reichel, joined once again by my co-host, the host of the Hold My Ball podcast, also the reason why we're late, Jake Savicki, here once again here on Thursday. Jake, how's it going with you? What's up?
I'm good. Listen, I was here on time, and maybe Mike was just a little faster in inputting late picks than we would have been on time. So who's really to blame?
Yeah, Mike's backstage. He can potentially, I'd say object to what you're saying, but we can leave that for the show. But either way, we're here once again to break down the Thursday key baseball matchups. Should be fun. We're also going to break down an award that we think could be a little bit controversial based on the current odds. But either way, anything you want to talk about from yesterday or anything you want to just get into before we start the Rookie of the Year discussion?
Yeah, it was a clean sweep for me. I got swept 0 for 4. I did, however, hit my breakfast bomb, which is always nice, which seems to be my specialty because it's just a straight guess on who's going to do what, and that seems to be my my highest percentage bet is breakfast bombs.
Yeah, well, either way, you didn't get cleanly swept if you hit the home run play, so you basically broke even when you factor in the home runs. But either way, it's going to segue us actually perfectly into the first discussion topic that we're going to have, which is the NL Rookie of the Year race. And the reason why it segues perfectly, remind everyone who you took for your home run yesterday.
Yesterday's home run, who did I take?
You took Sal Stewart.
Yeah, my also Rookie of the Year pick early on in the season, preseason. I think he was plus, had to be, I got to go back and look, 800, 950 maybe. He's now, what is he, plus, what is he now, plus 160?
Right now is 190. So I also like Stewart preseason, but the point is Weatherholt is still the favorite out of St. Louis at minus 150. Stewart is around plus 190, and Benj, if you want to go for the Mets, he is at around 10-1. So we talked about this briefly yesterday, and we were going to, I'd say, deep dive it a bit more today. But we did some awards already, mentioned the Cy Young, mentioned the MVP race, etc. This one, we both agree that Weatherholt being minus 150 feels a little bit expensive and pretty controversial. And you mentioned a stat in the text chain that we have that Weatherholt, since the All-Star break, has the 7th worst batting average in the entire league. Now, this can also represent a bit of I'd say, a bit of a divide amongst grading, because Weatherholt's defense is significantly better than Stewart's. So if you're looking at WAR and you want to include everything, Weatherholt's WAR is basically double what Stewart's is. However, it's mainly defense. His defense is basically 5 times better than Stewart's, but the offensive numbers definitely favor Stewart because Stewart has significantly more RBIs. He'll break 100 RBIs by season's end, and as a result, we were wondering how much defense actually matters in these award races, because normally it doesn't. Jordan's going to be winning the AL MVP pretty unanimously. We know in general he doesn't really field, but it doesn't matter when you hit that well. But Stewart's numbers definitely look a lot better than Weatherholt's offensively, and yet minus 150 is in favor of Weatherholt despite him being basically useless at the plate since the All-Star break. So, Jake, I'm going to let you go first, but we talked about it briefly yesterday. What do you think the fair price should be? Do you think Stewart should be favored if you had to price it yourself?
I think Stewart should be favored by double what Weatherholt's favorite. I think he should be a minus 300 favorite. This to me makes absolutely no sense. His defense if his defense is that good, their WAR is like 2.1 for Stewart and 4 point something for Weatherholt.
Yeah, for reference, I'm looking at FanGraphs. They have Weatherholt's defensive WAR at about 17.6, and they have Stewart's at around negative 4.4. So the defense isn't close. The offense allegedly is basically the same, even though Stewart's much better in RBIs. You could argue that's lineup protection and just a lineup spot. But Stewart's definitely a better hitter than Weatherholt. So it comes down to how much you care about defense. And I know most voters, most years, really do not care at all about defense.
Well, this is crazy. Even if you care about defense, Stewart has played 83 games this year at first base, 45 at third base, DH'd 11 times, played 7 games at second base. He has 2 errors, same amount as Weatherholt. I don't. This is why I hate WAR. What are we talking about? He has a 990 something fielding percentage.
Yeah, some of it's position based though, because of course Weatherholt plays like in more of a second base role, which is more important than you could argue first base or third base. But at that point, you're just basically pricing in the position the position difference in terms of WAR and in terms of fielding. So that's kind of, for example, why like Bobby Witt, for example, is always going to be very high up on WAR. It's because his shortstop defense in general is so impactful and how shortstop matters more to WAR than other defensive positions. So you could argue that it's just basically a tax against first baseman and third baseman. But is Stewart a good defensive player? I think he's fine. Like, I don't think he's like atrocious. Weatherhold's better defensively. But if you're asking who I'd rather have at the plate in a big spot, I'm taking Sal Stewart, and I'm not hesitating, and I feel like it's a pretty simple choice. So to mention the actual numbers here, by the way, just for comparison, Weatherholt has 16 homers, 46 RBIs, and he's batting .243. Now, he's mostly in like the leadoff spot, which is why the RBIs aren't exactly that great, but still, those offensive numbers are fine. But if you want to go for Sal Stewart by comparison, he should end up breaking 100 RBIs. Stewart's batting .259, 27 homers, and 94 RBIs. Pretty strong chance, knock on wood, he gets to 30 and 100 by season's end. And I feel like that's a pretty tough collection of stats to kind of vote against. But 190, I think, is insane for Sal Stewart. If you want to argue it's a pick'em and you want to argue that defense should matter in these awards, then I can see a minus 110 apiece type of argument. But I think at 190, that's got to be the play, because I just don't know how the voters by season's end, assuming both St. Louis and Cincinnati miss the playoffs. So you can't even argue team success, because if St. Louis finishes like 84 and 78 and they miss the playoffs and the Reds finish 10 games under, does it really matter? Because like you both missed the playoffs. Who cares? So I don't think it matters too much in terms of overall team success. So the only argument for Weatherholt's basically defense.
Which is insane, which is absolutely insane when you're literally putting up half the offensive stats. Half the offensive stats. If you're gonna tell me here, you can have a guy that plays outstanding defense at second base and will put up half the stats as this guy who puts up very important, very good offensive stats and plays first, third, and a little bit of second. I don't give a fuck. I'm taking Sal Stewart all day long. I'm building my team around that guy. I'm not building it around a second baseman that plays good defense. I mean, and if this is the case, then how do you explain last year when Judge wins MVP over Raleigh and Raleigh was a switch hitting catcher all season long? Where's the defensive importance there? How do you explain Bobby Witt being up there, sure, but also being the most well-rounded player on the planet? Now all of a sudden PCA is overtaking Ohtani, kind of, because what? Defense? They have the exact same offensive stats. That's now more valuable than his 20 starts or whatever, 12 starts. I don't know. I just don't think this blows my mind. His offensive stats are half of Sal Stewart's. He leads the league in RBIs. He's in 94 or something now.
And also worth mentioning, I've said it before, but Weatherholt has the 7th lowest batting average post All-Star break. So it's not like Weatherholt has been in good form, even decent form offensively lately. His numbers have kind of fallen off a cliff. So I understand if you want to argue that, defense should matter to an award race, but the problem is the lack of consistency because it apparently doesn't apply in most cases, but now people are trying to use it to apply in this case, at least from what I can gather, based on pricing. Now, I think Weatherholt obviously is a good player. We're not arguing that he's a bad player and we're not trying to throw shade at Weatherholt because he's clearly talented. He's clearly a good player. But the argument is he having a better rookie season than Sal Stewart? And the defense might suggest so, but offensively, it's night and day. Like, Stewart's clearly the better offensive player. And based on pricing, minus 150 in Weatherholt, when he's been borderline useless at the plate post All-Star break, just feels wrong to me. I at least think the line should be closer, but 190, I think, is an auto play on Stewart. Because assuming he ends up finishing the year without an injury and finishes with, what do you think the ceiling could be? Like 34 and 110? Like, is that possible for him?
Yeah. I mean, what's he at now? He's at already.
He's at 27 and 94. Like, I think 34 and 110 is possible.
Yeah, 110 ribbies and 30 plus bombs for a rookie.
I just don't see voters voting against that.
I don't either. If he goes to 30 and 100 plus, how can you? Weatherholt's going to end up with maybe 20 and maybe 60. That's crazy to me. You're trying to tell me that his defense at second base is worth more than 60 to 70 RBIs?
For the record, I don't think Weatherholt even gets to 60 because he's batting leadoff. 20 maybe, but 60 in the leadoff spot, I think he finishes probably somewhere in the mid-50s, if I had to guess, for RBIs.
Yeah, this one bothers me. Much like Jackson Merrill and Paul Skeens Rookie of the Year. I think a pitcher should, unless there is nobody else even close, a pitcher go ahead and win Rookie of the Year. But when you do what Jackson Merrill did, which was hit about, I think he set the record as a rookie for anybody, rookie or not, with most eighth inning game tying or go ahead home runs, eighth inning and later. Mr. Clutch in a year where the Padres needed him to be that. I mean, that to me is, and he played an outstanding center field. I just don't, I think these awards are chosen by the wrong people, just like most of the things that happen in the MLB.
Well, I remember a couple of years ago when Wander Franco actually won AL Rookie of the Year. And I remember they listed the finalists for the American League, and Franco was like plus 300. And I was looking at the lines, and I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And I just bet Franco because I thought the price was wrong. And Franco won pretty easily for the AL Rookie of the Year. So the odds makers aren't always accurate with who they currently have priced. Keep that in mind. These guys, of course, will be finalists. I'll mention Benj in a second. But, for example, I did make some money on Franco years ago, before, of course, he got thrown out of the league, for a Rookie of the Year, because I thought 3-1 was wrong. I just felt like the sportsbooks didn't have a full understanding of the cases for every single rookie. And I feel like that's the same case here. I think Stewart should be favored. I don't know about minus 300, but I think he probably should be around at least minus 1. I'd flip the odds. I would put Stewart at like minus 150, minus 175. But at plus 190, I think you got to take that for a rookie who might finish with 30 and 100, who should finish with 30 and 100.
Yeah, that's a no-brainer for me. I don't even think this is a race when you look at the offensive stats. If you're going to put it on defense, that's why I don't like WAR. WAR to me is a very misleading, annoying stat.
I guess the one thing I'll also bring up, producer Mike backstage wanted us to talk about it, was Benj, who's actually in third in the race. Benj is around plus 1,000. Just to compare the offensive numbers, though, Benj has 15 homers and 51 RBIs. And we also know he's got an absolute cannon in right field. So I guess the question that I have is, if Weatherholt's going to be favored, then why is Benj 10-1? I feel like the same argument in terms of the actual case can be made for Benj. And Benj is getting basically 10 plus times the odds that Weatherholt is. So I'm going to ask you if Benj has a chance, because if the argument is that Weatherholt plays a premier, defense, he does a great job, and you want to make the argument that defense matters, Benj has been incredible in right field. So I guess I'm questioning how you can have it both ways. where Weatherholt's favored for defense over Stewart, yet Benj could be this far away from both of them if the argument's defense. Because we know Benj has made a name for himself with the arm that he has and the range that he has in right field. So I guess that's kind of the cherry on top for the argument against Weatherholt. I don't get why Benj is 10-1 if Weatherholt's minus 150 for defense.
I don't either. I don't think it makes any sense. I have no idea. I think this, and obviously the odds makers are not the guys making decisions, but they're usually
not the ones voting. As a reminder, they're not the ones voting.
They're not the ones voting, but they are, however, usually pretty dead on with their lines. And this, to me, I think it's just it's a perfect example of where baseball is today. What's important, why you see bad baseball being played at times, why you see home run or bust, why you see all this, because guys are doing what gets them paid. And when you're trying to get paid, it's not hit home run. There's a reason Luis Arias is paid what he's paid and Kyle Schwarber is paid what he's paid. Kyle Schwarber is paid 30-something mil a year to hit 230 and hit 50 bombs because that's what pays the bills. Offense pays. The best defender in the game is not making money the way that the best hitter is making money. So I just think there's this mix-up across the whole board of what is important in baseball. Look at the Phillies. Those guys were awful. Home run or bust. They were no different than the Yankees. And then all of a sudden, they upped every single number that actually matters offensively. On-base percentage, cut down the strikeouts, cut down the chase rate. All their offensive numbers went up, the ones you want. And now they're playing an entirely different brand of baseball. They're taxing pitchers. And it's working. It's working. You can't reinvent the wheel in baseball for what matters. And yes, defense matters, but you got to score runs to win. And when you're doing it like you're doing it and the league celebrates offense, I mean, DHs win the MVP feels like 75% of the time in the last 10 years. Now, all of a sudden, playing second base really well is way more important than doubling your offensive production. It's beyond me.
Yeah, I don't really get it either, but it's also possible that the NL Rookie of the Year award just really hasn't been updated. Sometimes sportsbooks do fall asleep at the wheel a little bit. But we both think 190 on Stewart's wrong. I think Benj is too large. I think he should be, like, in my opinion, like 5 or 6 to 1. I don't think he's going to win, but I think 10 to 1 is pretty large for him and the impact he's had over the last month, especially for the Mets. But team record shouldn't matter. And right now it probably won't because all three candidates are on non-playoff teams right now. So I'll see what happens. But I think we agree. We think Stewart, who also friend of the podcast because he cashed a home run play for Jake yesterday, I do think he should be favored in this market. So I also like how you had this whole rant against Weatherholt wearing a Cardinals hat, which is solid trolling. So I respect that move by you. But anything else you want to add on this discussion, or should we just move on to the games?
We can move on.
Cool. So moving on into the actual games for the card on Thursday. A lot of day games. Keep an eye out for the start time. First game on the card, we have the Mariners taking on the Brewers. For this one, we have the Brewers who are using Gasser, and we also have Kirby going for Seattle. For the pricing, Milwaukee's favored minus 124, Seattle's plus 120. For the over-under, I see 7.5 plus money on the under at 7.5 at plus 110. So we just saw Milwaukee win the first game 22-0. Seattle responded well. They ended up jumping May yesterday, and they ended up holding on to win. Pretty high-scoring game so far in this series. Milwaukee, though, is still 4-2 in the last 6. Seattle is still 4-8 in the last 12. Kirby was fine over the last month or so. Not good last start, though. 4 2/3, 5 earned against Houston. Gasser, though, has been good. Last 5 starts, 27 innings, a 3.33 ERA, and he was pretty good against the Dodgers in his last start. So, Jake, I'll let you go first. In Milwaukee versus Seattle, who do you like in this one?
What did he do? What did Gasser do in his last start?
He went against the Dodgers, and he went 6 1/3 to give up 3 earned.
Okay. 6 1/3. I'm tired of I went 0-4 on my picks outside of the breakfast bombs yesterday. I said I'm betting against the Mariners because they're a bad team. That's it. I'm going to bet that a bad team's going to play bad, and they did the exact opposite. Put up a 4 or 5 spot on May in the first inning.
Yeah,
very annoying. Kirby, I think, has some of the nastiest stuff in the league. I'm just gonna take the over on the first 5 here. I think Kirby's gonna have one blow up inning. I think Gasser's not gonna have a great start. Sign me up for the over. Over 4.5 in the first 5, minus 102, pretty much even money. I will take that. And hopefully I can just cash it through the first 5 innings and wipe my hands clean of this game. Don't have to worry about anything else.
Yeah, so for me, I'm going to go for Milwaukee. I'm not going to get too creative here. Yes, they ended up no-showing basically the first inning yesterday. They did score 5 runs. They actually almost, cut it to a very, very tough spot for Seattle, but eventually the rally fell short. Milwaukee, though, we know has been great at home all year. They are currently 42-23 at home. Seattle's still 27-38. But also, Gasser, I want to point out as a reminder, is a lefty, and we saw Seattle get destroyed by Harrison in the series opener. They are really bad against lefties. They're not great offensively anyway, but against lefties, they are pretty horrendous, and it's on the screen right now for the StatPix graphic. Seattle WRC plus against lefties, 27th in the league. They really just don't hit lefties at all. So I think it's a bad matchup for them. I still like the bullpen advantage for Milwaukee, but I do think even if Seattle is a team that got it going yesterday, mainly because May didn't have it, I'm not suddenly going to pivot off my negative viewpoint on Seattle as a whole. So yes, Seattle played well for one day, but they're really bad against lefties. Gasser's been pretty underrated lately for the last month on the mound, and I think Milwaukee ends up winning the series. So I'll go for Milwaukee to win this one. I like the price, minus 124. I think it's pretty cheap. Give me the Brewers money line as my pick for this one. Moving on into the second game for the card, we have the Braves taking on the White Sox in a rare one-game series. It's a makeup game that was supposed to happen in June, but they are using the day off to make up a game that was rained out. So Atlanta, schedule-wise, got screwed because they had a day off. They played in Minnesota yesterday, and they're traveling to Milwaukee for a game tomorrow. So they lost their off day, and now they got to travel for a one-gamer against Chicago. For the pitching matchup, though, you have Holmes taking on Kay, two pitchers who are pretty similar, statistically speaking, this season. For the actual pricing, though, Atlanta's a slight favorite, minus 105. Chicago's around plus 101 at home. White Sox did shut out the Cubs in the game yesterday. Nice job by Urquidy, who ended up getting called up, and he was scoreless, so he did a good job there. Over-under in this game is at 8.5. Atlanta, though, has really not been good lately. Atlanta's 1-5 in the last 6. White Sox are 7-4 in the last 11. Holmes' last couple of outings, 30 1/3, a 4.45 ERA, so not exactly that great. K last 8 starts, 41 1/3, 3.27 ERA. So, Jake, for your picks on this game, do you think Atlanta should be favored because they've really not been playing good baseball for the last week and change?
No, I don't think they should be favored. That's why I'm taking the White Sox in this one. I like Hef the Ref Sports. Scotty with the facts, not the fields. Correct. If anybody's new here, facts are on the left side of your screen. Fields are on the right side. Wearing a St. Louis hat this morning. The Braves were pissed about this reschedule back in June. They were already whining about their off day having to go, which understandably, I agree with them. Flying, they waited like 3 hours to postpone this rain delay back in, I think it was June. Mm-hmm. And they were pissed. They have an off day in between Minnesota and Milwaukee, which is crazy that they have to now fly to Chicago, play this game, and then head over there. Chicago is going technically from the road to home, but they're leaving Wrigley going home.
They're leaving Chicago to go to Chicago.
They're going to be just fine. They're not traveling. So I just like Chicago in this one. They won the first 2 games of the set, going for a sweep. It's important to them at this stage in the game. I got the underdog. Give me the underdog, a small underdog, but give me the underdog in this one.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that's a terrible spot for Atlanta. I'm not sure mentally they're going to be fully there for this game after having to travel for a one-off. You're looking at the recent form for Atlanta, and after opening up another massive lead in the NL East, they've immediately blown half the lead, basically, because Philly keeps winning and they keep losing. So Atlanta's just been a streaky team all year, and don't look now, but Philly, there's a chance they might pass them, who knows. But either way, you're looking at Atlanta being quite bad on the road lately, 2-7 in their last 9 road games. bad scheduling spot. K has been better than Holmes lately. I like the matchup in general. We know the White Sox have been a wagon at home. White Sox are 6 games over this season as a whole, but they're 13 games over at home. So they've still not been a great road team all year. But in Chicago, in this ballpark, in Wright Field, they can really, put it on you if you're not fully engaged. And I think this is a pretty good letdown spot for Atlanta. I'm with you. I'm on Chicago money line at plus 101. I think they should be favored. I would have had Chicago at like minus 115 maybe, like not a big favorite, but still. I think K is better than Holmes, and I think that the White Sox are in better form right now than Atlanta. So we see eye to eye here, and we're both on the White Sox for this game at plus 101. Moving on to the next game, you have the Yankees taking on the Orioles. Yankees going for the sweep. We'll see if they do so. Fun fact, the Yankees have not swept a single team since the National Series right before the All-Star break. They have not swept a single team since then, so keep that in mind. They are the kings of going 2-1 in the series, but the Yankees in this one are favored. They're minus 118. Orioles are plus 111. The over-under is about 8 or 7.5, so shop around. It was 8.5 last night. The line did drop a little bit, but now it's mostly at 8 or 7.5. Now, for the recent form, the Yankees have won 3 in a row. Baltimore's 5-8 in the last 13. Cole's been great. Last 4 starts, 24 and 2/3 innings, a 1.46 ERA. Bradish has been up and down this season. Good lately, pitching for Baltimore. Last 2 starts, 12 innings, a 2.25 ERA. Now, the Yankees managed to win the game yesterday, but there was some controversy attached to it. Jake, I'm not sure if you saw it, the Pete Alonso controversial home run down the line. Producer Mike, just pulled it up for a second, because that might have determined the entire game. 2 outs in the 7th, Alonso rips one down the line for a second homer of the game to give Baltimore the lead. Wait a second, foul ball. They called it a foul ball. They ended up reviewing it. The ball looks clearly fair from one review point or one camera angle. And I guess they didn't have access to the angle, or they just decided that they couldn't overturn it. I mean, based on the review that we're looking at right now on screen on YouTube, that's clearly a fair ball. And Baltimore got hosed. And of course, the Yankees did win the game 5-3, as Baltimore did not score another run for the entire game. So the win had some controversy to it. Jake, either you want to talk about the game first or this play, because I'm still not sure how we can review balls and strikes and all the other stuff with challenges, yet we still apparently don't have enough technology to get what looks like an obvious home run call correct, because with that one review, the ball's clearly fair. So anything you want to touch on first, either this play or the actual game for Thursday?
Yeah, this pisses me off. This actually really pisses me off, because this clearly this is just a fair ball. There's not a question to this. So who misses these calls? I understand it live in a game, that's fine. But when you replay it and you watch it, and there's just no question. There's no question that's a fair ball. How do you miss this? And why do you miss this? This is, I don't think anything's rigged beyond obviously some pitchers spiking balls on purpose, missing first pitch strikes, yada, yada. But the overall game, I don't think is rigged. But this is why when people say, oh, Vegas made the call, they believe it. Because of stuff like this. How do you explain this? My favorite part about this too, and actually probably the most annoying part at the same time, is the second they call a foul, Alonso gives them the helmet off. I can't freaking believe this. And then if you watched it, he gives them the nod, like, okay, all right. Then don't worry about it. Watch this. And then he K's up and doesn't get friggin' tossed. Like, you have to get tossed as Pete Alonso after this. Go get tossed one time, blow up, and say, what the fuck? What are you guys possibly looking at? How is that possible? Needs to. So I just think this play bothers me. I don't think the Yankees deserve that call. I don't think Pete Alonso deserved that call. I don't know if the Yankees deserve that win, because this it's not a question. I think I'm sure Yankee fans, which you and Mike are both. What is your opinion? Is that a fair or foul ball to you, Mike?
It was fair. I'm always the unbiased Yankees fan. I'm watching the game. It's clearly a home run. Like, I'm not going to argue and tell you it's trick photography, like it's a potential controversial moon landing here. Like, no, I think it was a fair ball. I think it was a home run. I think that Baltimore got robbed. If you want to argue the Yankees scored 5 runs anyway, I don't believe in that philosophy. because you could argue that if Baltimore has a 4-3 lead, they use the bullpen differently, the approach is different offensively from the Yankees. It's a chain reaction. I can't just blindly say the Yankees scored 5 runs, they would have won the game anyway, so it's not a big deal. It's not even about the game itself being a Yankee fan. It's the principle. It's the fact that you have access to all this technology and how you're trying to give the most accurate, I'd say, rulings possible in every situation to keep the game fair. And yet somehow, occasionally, some decisions just slip through the cracks. And it's one thing if the ball, tilted to the side and maybe went over the foul pole on an angle. That's the inside of the foul pole. Like, it's not even close. So based on that, I definitely think Baltimore got hosed. Am I going to complain about it if the Yankees make the playoffs and, potentially catch Tampa? No. I'm a Yankees fan. Like, a win's a win. I remember back in the day, teams used to file the P logo where they would go for the protest, which would never do anything, but it was symbolic to, we think this is garbage and we're going to complain about it. It would never change anything, but you had some hand gesture where you basically just say, we think that there's some controversy and we think all of you are incompetent. I kind of missed that. It would never do anything. But in this game, Baltimore got hosed because that home run should have counted.
Oh, that's a shame.
Shut up, Jerry. They definitely got hosed. It was a bad call. It was clearly a home run, and I don't know how they can get it wrong after looking at it. I mean, not only can you see it on the big screen at the stadium and all the fans saw it, the broadcast had it, so it was really bad. I mean, as a Yankee fan, it's cool to get the win. I don't want them to win by stupid favors because then you got to hear about it. Well, if they didn't get the call, win the game. It was 3-3 at that point. I mean, we got to score a freaking point, right? Like, come on, put some points on the board.
We got to score a freaking point.
Exactly. Like, what are we doing here? Like, if you have more runs, if you have more offense, we're not in this situation. Now, yeah, if the call is still the call, if it's 8-3 Yankees, he got hosed. But Jake, I agree with you. I think Alonso should have did more than that. Interesting note, speaking of Alonso, his counterpart that the Mets picked up to replace him, Polanco, is out for the rest of the year. So Stearns' magic is coming back to bite him, I guess.
You throw in Polanco, you throw in Peralta. Not a great offseason for the Mets.
No.
But
when have the Mets had a great anything? But signing Soto was a bad offseason. A stupid offseason is what that was. I think.
In hindsight, it was just Cohen trying to flex his muscles to show that he has money. And he thought he could buy a championship, and it just didn't work out.
The part of me does truly love that he enjoys basically saying, what do the Yankees want? Let me go take it. I do love it. Seems like that's basically his plan on getting players. I do enjoy that. But same with Boston over there. I think they look at what the Yankees need. You look at a Rutschman, you look at that. But I don't know. I think the Yankees, good for them. If we get to the pick here, I just can't stand the Yankees. I like all their players. I'm not a huge fan of Cole. All that being said, I'm going
really?
Yankees.
I want to hear more about this. Why are you an anti-Cole guy? Cole's great.
He just I don't know. He just seems way too friggin' good of a pitcher to have this whiny ass attitude.
Okay, so it's his personality you're not a fan of. Okay.
Yeah, and I hate to say that because I don't know him. I'm sure he's a good dude. I don't know, but I always say this just as a fan who all I have is what I see on TV. I don't know Garrett Cole. I'm sure every player would vouch for him as a good leader on the team, whatever. Some might not, but I'm sure he's a good dude. But from what I see as a fan watching the TV, he pisses me off with this whiny, poor me. Always sad and angry about something that's not going his way. He's so friggin' good. It's like, dude, stop whining. Even the little body language and not covering first in the World Series, which is a microscope play, obviously on the biggest stage. It's the spotlight. It's you can bring that up and go, well. But I think that just sums up a big piece of what the Yankees do. I don't think they as a team thought they were going to win that series against the Dodgers, because if you do, I think you get over and you cover first there because you're planning on winning this game. And that's a huge out. It's freaking bases loaded, 2 outs, get out of the inning. I got to make this play. Not, whoops. That just doesn't happen if you are coached to be in a mindset of we are going to win the game. And in order to win the game, we have to win every single pitch. You're checked out. You're one of the best pitchers on the planet. The guy pisses me off, but I'm betting him today, money line. I think he's going to do well. And With the way my Yankee bets have been going, I'd be zero surprise if the Yankees get boat raced and Cole goes 4 innings and gets 5-6 earned on him somehow today.
Yeah, so as a Yankees fan, I am a big Cole guy because I think Cole's an absolute monster. I mean, you said it yourself. You think he's a great pitcher, just the personality stuff. I kind of compare pitchers in some spots to goalies in hockey. Like, you just got to wire yourself a certain way to be either competitive or to get an edge or something. And I think part of that is Cole just being a perfectionist. And when things just don't go well for him, yes, you could argue the World Series play wasn't a great look. Still not sure if Rizzo should have gone to the bag by himself or not. We really don't know. I feel you can make an argument either way. The more you watch it, you can still have an argument. But just in case of insurance, he probably should have covered first base. But either way, that's in the past.
But
Cole's
see, both guys, that's the mentality of the Yankees at the time. Both guys should have been thinking, oh, I got to get over and cover. And
yeah,
I'm
instead, both guys said
myself.
the other guy's going to do it.
And neither guy, both guys were thinking, oh, somebody else will do my fucking job, my job for me, which is the Yankees fire me up. They're too talented. Cole, to me, is a good example of the entire Yankee lineup. Their whole team, very talented, soft. Just a bunch of soft guys that aren't actually trying to win a game.
Point is, though, I think Cole
yelling at the umpire.
He's been great this year too, Cole. So I like Cole, but it's mainly because he puts up zeros, and that's what you hope for a pitcher. I can handle all the other stuff. I mean, Scherzer complained a lot. He yelled at Jesus Sanchez yesterday for good reason. Sanchez butchered that play in the left field. But Scherzer's always been a guy who's wired that way too. Where
but Scherzer's like Scherzer gets mad. It looks like Cole gets sad, and that pisses me off at this level for some reason.
The point I'm trying to say is they will let their emotions kind of carry their performance in a certain way, where I think Cole might use it to fuel himself. So I understand what you're trying to say, but I feel like pitchers try to get whatever edge they can. And whether Scherzer is yelling at himself on the mound like an absolute lunatic, or whether Cole seems a little bit of a pity party for himself, it works. I can't argue with the numbers. If the results are there, the results are there. So Cole might use it to kind of fuel himself. But you're picking Cole anyway, so after mentioning how much you don't like his personality, you do have some money on him for today. So keep that in mind. So watch yourself.
I know I've just referred to myself as the feels guy a little earlier, but I am also a guy that recognizes the talent and how good these guys are. I don't let it cloud my vision of how talented they are. I just don't enjoy watching them.
That's fair too, and that's going to segue to my play because it's been a painful collection of games for the last month or so for the Yankees. They've been winning some games though because the bullpen's been great. I have the under. I give me the under 8 because why would I ever pick an over with this team at minus 125? Unfortunately, I did pick I got too cute yesterday. I had the Yankees team total under. Of course, they score on a bases loaded infield single and a wild pitch with 2 outs in the 8th inning, and they finished with 5. So they went over the team total, but the full game went under. So, of course, I overthought it. But still, I'm on the under 8 in this game. To mention some trends recently, 9 straight Yankees road games have had less than 9 runs, and 7 straight Baltimore home games have had less than 9 runs. So 8's a push. You get a refund if you end up getting 8. It was 8.5 last night. But still, the point is, I do think you're going to see another low-scoring game. Bradish has been pretty good lately. Cole's been really good. Baltimore can't really hit, and the Yankees can't really hit. So I see a low-scoring game. I think if you end up getting a similar scoreline to yesterday before the bases-loaded shenanigans, and you have a 3-3 game in the 8th inning, that sounds pretty on par. You end up getting a 1-1 game in the 7th inning. That's pretty on brand for the Yankees. But either way, they ended up having a couple of, I'd say, fortunate bounces for them yesterday. I mean, Lombard hit a slow roller down the line, which stayed fair, which turned out to be the game-winning RBI. I love Lombard, but still, they didn't exactly hit the crap out of the ball when they had their breakthrough inning there in the 8th inning. So based on that, I see another low-scoring game. I think Cole and Bradish are both going to pitch well. But based on the recent trends and based on the Yankees games, basically all going under over the last month, I'll keep taking it. Give me the under 8 at minus 125. Do you have anything else you want to add on that?
No, I love Caballero, I love Lombard on this team. I'm a big fan of that dude. I like that a lot. I didn't see the at bat. He was the one you said that dribbled it down the line, squeaked it in.
Yeah,
there.
it was a pretty standard, like slow roller, maybe like 5 feet in front of the plate, rolls down the line, stayed fair, and they just couldn't catch him because Lombard's fast. But game-winning RBI. There we go.
Was it a 2-strike pitch? Do you know? Do you remember?
I have to remember because I want to say it was a 1-1 count, but I actually don't recall. So let me just quickly check because I know that Cano came in, and that was the first batter that he faced out of the bullpen. And it was an infield single. Yeah, it was an 0-1 count, actually. Slow roller down the line.
Okay. I like seeing some of the younger guys come in with a little less strikeouts are okay mentality, especially a guy like Lombard. Spencer Jones, different story. I think he was 1 for 4 with 3 Ks yesterday, but scored on a sac fly. Speed kills. You get on base one time. It ends up being a big run there. But I just like seeing guys like a Lombard come in where he knows the defense is going to be Gold Glove level. So those things matter for a guy like him. Just don't strike out. A ground out's better. You're making the defense work. Maybe you move a runner, whatever it is. But I like seeing him play the game overall. I think defensively and offensively, he's working hard to play the game the right way, which, he's in such a prime position. God, one shortstop in the last 5 years had to sit there and fill Jeter's shoes prematurely, and the other guy had to fill what I'm drawing a blank on his name. What's his name? The guy he just replaced.
Yeah, Volpe.
Volpe has to prematurely fill Derek Jeter's shoes, and now Caballero, who is a significant upgrade, no matter how you dice it up, gets the luxury of filling a shortstop that everybody truly hates in New York. I mean, this guy's playing on house money, and he's good. What a good spot to fall into for Lombard Jr.
Yeah, just to be clear, though, just one little thing. You said to replace Jeter. I know Mike would agree with me backstage. Put some respect on Didi Gregorius. Yankees fans still love Didi, no matter what happened. I still love Didi, but either way, it's definitely easier when you're replacing somebody the fan base doesn't like. But Lombard puts the ball in play, which is nice to see. Yankees do strike out a lot. Lombard cuts into that. But yeah, show some respect to Didi because Yankees fans still love Didi.
I will tip my cap. I guess my thought on that was Didi was never the long-term replacement. He was good when he got in there, but they never planned on him being the long-term guy. They did plan on what's his name being that. But anyways, yeah, Didi Gregorius. That's a name. I like bringing names like that up because there are some gems. I just saw Robinson Cano hit a bomb in whatever the heck league he's playing in. I don't know where he is. Mexico, Dubai, something, but
Yankees fans have no issue with Cano at all. The steroid stuff came after, as far as I'm concerned. I don't even care. Like, he was just a great second baseman for the Yankees.
I saw the clip. It was a 3-second home run clip, and I saw the swing and just went, that's Cano. That's one
still
of the most beautiful swings in baseball.
Of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're comparing smooth swings, it's either him or Griffey. If you had to go for like a Mount Rushmore of smooth swings.
Yeah, it's going to end up being one of the lefties because they got that natural fall to first base. But I truly think if I had to pick one, I'm taking Robinson Cano over Griffey, which I know might be a little crazy. But
to be clear, that we're talking about smooth swing. We're not talking about career.
Swings.
Just to be clear. Yeah,
smooth swings. Give me Cano.
Yeah, don't you know Robinson Cano? Moving on into the next game, final game on the card here. We have the Angels taking on the Astros. Not the most appealing matchup, but to be honest, so many day games, I picked the night game. So there you go. That's why I chose this game. Moving on, though, to the pitching matchup, you have Rodriguez taking on Lambert. For the pricing, Houston minus 180, Angels are plus 165, and the over-under is at 8.5. We know the Angels stink. They've been a little bit better lately, but Houston, we know, is one game over in a very bad AL West. Houston is still in first place, 2 games clear of Texas. Only team over 500 in the entire division. It's a laughingstock. But for this game, Lambert's been good this season. Looking at his recent numbers, Lambert overall is a guy who has been underrated. But looking at his numbers, he is just a pretty underrated, solid pitcher. And Rodriguez had some high hopes when he came into the league out of Baltimore, had some serious arm issues, and just hasn't worked out for him, simply put. So any thoughts on this game? Do you want to lay 180 with Houston?
Yeah, because this is me asking the gambling gods what's going on. I'm going to take a minus 180 team. I'm not going to try to look for the right bet. I'm going to take the heavy favorite. And if they don't win here, then I know the gambling gods are letting me know it's just not my time. And I'm going to have to maybe drop down the units on each bet until it is my time.
They might hold
Astros
it
could
against
run
you,
away
though,
with
for
it.
cursing out Garrett Cole. They might hold it against you.
They just might. They just might. Maybe it's on me. I'm making this bet to see if I need to change my approach here or not. You know, I'm usually a very optimistic guy. I did not make one optimistic pick today. Just let that be known. Anybody that's
But you hit a
tailing
home
me.
run play. You got to look at the positives here. You didn't go completely over.
I did hit the home run play, but see, I don't research the home run plays. I don't research a ton of these bets either, but I certainly research each bet except the home run. I just look at the matchups and see what name pops out to me and go, yep, this is the guy today. That's literally all I do. And I've hit those, I think, what, two out of three this week?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? So who knows? Who knows? But I'm taking the minus 180. I'm just going to take the closest thing to a sure thing there is in this one, and I'm going to test the baseball gods on this.
Yeah, so I didn't like the price. I think it would be Houston or pass, but I'm not laying 180 personally with Houston. So instead, I went with a pitching prop. I took Lambert. I'll go with the over 5.5 strikeouts at minus 102. He's been good lately. He's had at least 6 strikeouts in 4 of his last 5 home starts. Good strikeout stuff lately. Last 5 starts, 22.6% K rate, 26% whiff rate. So overall, good swing and miss stuff. Angels do strike out a ton. Last 12 games, 25.2% K rate. I like Lambert. I think his strikeout stuff's pretty good, and the Angels strike out all the time. I think minus 102 is a very good deal. He also faced off against the Angels twice already this season, and he had 6 strikeouts in both meetings. So I like the price. I like the matchup. Give me Lambert 6 Ks at minus 102 as my play for this one. Moving on, though, to the final segment, the area where Jake shines. I'm still trying to hit my first one, but we have breakfast bombs. We have some home run plays to share for the Thursday card. Jake, who's going to be your home run pick for the Thursday card?
Today, I'm going with a guy that I took as part of a parlay, didn't show up for me, but then the same 2 guys showed up the next day when I did not bet on them and hit bombs. I'm going to go in the matchup that is really probably my favorite of the day as far as our bets go. White Sox, Atlanta, give me Murakami on an icing on the cake of an annoying day for Atlanta. Give me him at plus 300 to launch one into the seats today.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go to a game that we talked about as well. I'm going to go for the Astros game. I'm going to go Cam Smith. I'm going to go for plus 550, who's quietly been great. I see 567 actually as the best price available right now. So once again, shop around. You can find some good numbers out there. 567, though, I think it's a good price. He's been good lately. Last 10 games, a 274 expected batting average, a 412 ISO. So he's been crushing the ball. Barrel rate of 20%. And Rodriguez in general is not great. Last 5 starts, 12.7% barrel rate. And he's giving up 1.88 home runs per 9. It's in Houston. We know that if you hit a ball down the line in the left, it can get out of there in a hurry. I think it's a good spot for Smith, who's quietly been phenomenal at the plate lately. And I love this price in this ballpark against what I think is a pretty underwhelming pitcher. Give me Cam Smith home run at plus 567 as my home run pick for Thursday. Anything else you want to add for you on the show?
Yeah, speaking of home runs and the Houston Astros, I went to the Astros stadium. What's it called now? Dakin Park.
I have always called it the juice box.
Yeah,
It was Minute Maid. It was a small ballpark. I like the juice box personally.
I like that better than Dakin Park. I was there in, I don't know, February, March, something like that for a college, the Bruce Bolt Classic it's called now. I watched Texas versus Baylor, and that was a big college baseball game because it's a tournament and they're both right there, obviously, in Texas. There was maybe, I don't know, it's college baseball in March. There was maybe a few thousand people there. Maybe, what's that place hold? Probably 40, 30 something, 35, 40. Let's call it 40,000. Let's say there was even 10,000 people there, which I highly doubt. It was absolutely electric and loud, and it made me wish of all the events I could be at, I would have to put it in my top 5 after watching how loud and electric the stadium was for a college game. When Jordan went literally 450 dead center in that playoff game a year or 2 ago.
Against, talking about against Philly, or which one are you talking about?
I think it was Philly. Literally top of the batter's eye, dead center, beautiful, electric. I could only imagine a lot of guys I talked to that I interview that hit big home runs like that. I'm like, what do you remember? And they're like, I honestly kind of blacked out. Or Josh Donaldson said what I thought made the most sense. He's like, I hit that one big one in Toronto. He's like, and I just remember running towards third base and looking at all the fans right there, and they were just like these blurry faces. Like I couldn't really even see them. It was just so loud and shaking. And I would have loved to have been in the stadium for some of those home runs where it's just like a unreal situation. But it did make me think of the Jordan there and what that must have felt like. So
I'm trying to remember. That was on Alvarado, I think.
I gotta look. I
think it was on Alvarado where he hit that like 450 dead center.
Tomlinson's going to need a visa to catch this one.
Yeah, the main Jordan homer I think of was the Robbie Ray one, where he just absolutely destroyed that one when they brought in Robbie Ray out of the bullpen with Seattle, and he hit that walk-off. I mean, that's the main Jordan playoff homer I think of. There are a lot to choose from. Like, Jordan's had a lot of big home runs, but I think of the Robbie Ray one for the walk-off against Seattle. That's the one
there's a good chance that's the one I'm thinking about right now, too. I'm going to play it real fast. Robbie Ray, Mr. Padre now.
Yeah, because remember they brought him out of the bullpen. It's like, why would you not just bring in Munoz? And then he immediately gave up a nuke.
Yep.
I remember that because
I
was rooting against Houston.
This is not the one. That's a line drive second deck.
Yeah, no, you're thinking of the Alvarado one in the World Series where he hit that dead center.
Yes, the World Series. There you go. There's 2 outs in that one he hit against Seattle too.
Yeah. I think it was a walk-off. What was it, a 3-run bomb?
Yeah, it was 7-5, 2 runners on, 2 outs, and he just absolutely launches and line drive straight to right center or right field.
Yeah, that's what I thought. The Alvarado one was the dead center one where he just nuked the crap out of it. That's what I remember.
That one to me has to be one of the most electric. I love that guy's swing. I think he's an incredible mix of power and a mechanically sound, beautiful swing. So,
well, the last point I'll make, though, that we're talking about for the sake of the Astros Juice Box Ballpark. Do you know what my favorite home run, as a Yankees fan, do you know what my favorite home run is in that ballpark?
No. Tell me.
Game 7, Howie Kendrick. That's going to wrap it up for the show. I'll be back once again tomorrow on Friday.
Yankees win!
Yeah, after the Yankees lost to Houston over and over again in the playoffs, watching Howie Kendrick hit that Game 7 opposite field shot down the line was definitely my favorite homer in that ballpark. But anyway, that brings back some good memories, doesn't it?
I interviewed Howie Kendrick, incredible bobblehead collection, in case anybody's curious.
Well, he killed your team too. An extra inning. That's a whole separate point.
I know. I had him on. He was a very nice guy. I don't have great memories of him at certain times, but Sal Stewart home run off Singer before noon today. I like the way that sounds. Half the ref.
I don't, because Singer's on the same team, so maybe in batting practice, but maybe we'll see. But I think Stewart might go yard again. But yeah, Singer's on his team, so that's not going to happen. But anyway, shout out to Howie Kendrick. Wanted to mention that as the last point I'll make about the Astros. Back once again tomorrow, though. We actually have a special. We're not going to spoil it. We're going to have a special opening topic tomorrow. We're going to try to keep Fridays more of a debate. So we're going to try to have our own drafting or list kind of thing. We got something prepped, so keep that in mind. We'll also talk about some UFC tomorrow as well. But until next time, support the show. You can find us on YouTube, of course, on the Breakfast Bets, on Steady Picks. You can find us on Baseball Dugout as well on YouTube. Also find us on Instagram at Breakfast Bets. Till next time, good luck to all of you and all of your bets. Bye, everyone.